Let's go. Tiny little room in 3, 2, 1. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? We don't got no tiny little room. We got a looping room. Let me tell you, not only we got a lot to talk about, but there's a lot going on in the community. There's a lot going on in the community. There's a lot to be covering. We have a big week ahead of us. Very, very big week ahead of us. And when you're crystal clear about where you're going to be going, the little week turns into an exciting week. When you have an idea of what you want to do in life, let me tell you, the world turns into an area where you just want to record things like I'm doing on my wrist. I'm sitting there, hey, listen, I forgot to tell you this, but hey, you there. Hey, you there. What are we getting to? What are we getting to? You know what we're getting? I'm going to tell you right now. I want to get to a point where we're on a loop that started an hour ago. And the loop said, going all the way back to the beginning, I said, Fable, you are the orchestrator. You are Fable. You are going to spin out haiku and sonnet. At this point, I could care less. Spin out the boys you want to spin out. Then you do research. Then you come back with a plan. Then you orchestrate specific plans for every single agent. Who's doing front end? Who's doing back end? Who's wiring it? Who's database? Who's architecture? Who's security? Who's making sure that everything is actually doing everything perfectly on the IDE? Welcome in, Mark. Mark is building a Chipotle today. He is building a Chipotle. If you want your burritos, if you want to make sure that your habaneros are in perfect size in comparison, Mark is building your drive-through window right now. He's laying the bricks and the stones and breaking no bones because your boy's coming at it. All right, this is the point I want to get to. There's two things in my head, two simultaneous things in my head. All right, first of all, there's a lot going on in the news. There's a lot going on between China doesn't give a hoot. They don't give a hoot. China doesn't care. China doesn't care. China says, hey, listen, we're up there with the SPs. We're the two SPs in the world. We're going against the United States. The young, hustling, bustling boys in the United States, 250 years old since we hand-cocked our name into the world stage before taking over all of America. I understand Central America, South America says that America is all of Central and South America and North America. We might have a little different opinions, but hearsay, 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 dearsay. Now, China also comes in and says, not only are we not going to meet with you, but guess what we're actually doing? We're going to limit what we're going to give to the United States. We might even limit what we give to the world based on how well you play with us. You know how everyone used military might forever, aka the United States? Well, now you got China who's saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to use our AI. We're going to use our manufacturing. We're going to use our energy. We're going to be using our drone technology, our software, our hardware. We're going to use all of that. Do you want to be part of the Chinese solution? Come to Shanghai. Meet with Gigi. Meet with him. He will give you whatever you want. Just don't do business with the United States. Just don't do business with the United States. I don't know how the ego of the Donald does not just come in and say, you know what, we're going to end this whole little stuff going on in the Middle East, and we're just going to focus on one single thing, considering, as our boy in the community said, that we have now all of these guys signed on. We got NVIDIA, IBM, Cisco. I don't see Cisco. Cisco's in there. You got Microsoft, Meta, Arena, Adrian Horowitz, however you say his first name, Palantir, OpenAI. You got all the big boys. How you not say DoorDash? I don't even know how they made it. GitHub, sure. At this point, Perplexity. At this point, just put Botenstein on this list. We need open source. We need open weights. We don't need to be doing the nonsense of tariffs. We don't need to do the nonsense of everything that's going on in DC. Focus on America for 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Maybe delight your people. Build back the infrastructure, build back the energy, build back the transportation, build back the airports, build back the stadiums that everyone was so impressed with because of the World Cup, because of our world-class international airports where you could fly into major cities at any point, if not a connecting flight easily. You want to go into Atlanta? Boom, international. You want to go into the Northeast? You got Boston, DC, New York. You want to go in the Midwest? I don't even know why you do it, but you'd go into Chicago, and I don't even know about the rest. All right, this is where we're going to get to. I was driving home from an excellent workout, did 40-something miles on the bike into a 3.5-mile run, and boy, did it feel good. You get on a high. You get on a high. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to build out a page, and the page is going to be a prompt. And this is what I'm going to do right now. I am going to say this, and I'm going to bring all of the prompt in. This has been hours of thinking, of notes, of loops. How do we do this? What's the best way to do this? All right, so now we're putting this in. And we are doing this. We're going to the top. And we're going to do this, and we're going to prompt it, and we're going to prompt it like a boss. This is going to be the first major, this is what I mean. You have prompts that are going to affect the IDE. You then have prompts that are going to improve what you've already built. Then you have a third one. So these are initial prompts. And then the third initial prompt is, hey, Charles, I want something that tracks my hourly wages, or I can invoice my clients, I can set up appointments, I can have a CRM, I can have an email management. In other words, you give me your build literally in one shot, Fable 5 with OpenAI Soul and whatever workers, whether they're Sonnet, Grok, they are Kimi K3, you have that buffer. They have immediate, direct, specific directions to go out and do just this one thing. Just do this one thing. Then it goes to the review agent, scores it, and then it comes back to so you have an initial prompt. And those are the three initial prompts. Let's actually say instead of just talking into it. Down below me is hours of work. Essentially, we are going to have a... Is someone calling right now? Someone just called. Put this on airplane mode. Professionalism is out the door right now. Professionalism is out the door. I got to get into the flow. We got to get into the flow. Let's call down the flow state. Get that out of here. Down below me is a very, very important... Why does my music go down when I prompt? That is not the way that we want it. We want that nice and high. Let's turn it up nice and high. Let's blow out the eardrums for a second. Let's go to OBS. We got to go to OBS. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's turn that off. That's interesting. All right, let's just try it. We'll try it even though it softens. Down below me is a group of looping ideas. And essentially the loop, as you are sending out a research agent with Sonnet or Haiku is going to have an orchestrator. The orchestrator is the highest agent known as Fable right now. Obviously, that is going to be changing into the future based on the model releases. We are then going to have worker agents. The worker agents are going to be sent out based on the initial prompt. The worker agents are going to do either screenshots, they're going to be looking with their eyeballs at what has been built, they're looking at potential research of new projects, new apps, new websites, they're potentially going in and looking at the database, the front end, the back end, the architecture. So you essentially have the Fable that first sends out the workers. Fable is not doing anything besides orchestrating and coming up with the plan. The workers in the initial prompt are going to be going out and doing all of the data collection necessary to come up with the best prompt or the best to-do list, the best objectives for the workers once the orchestrator of Fable decides on what the orchestration is going to be. So the initial step is going to be the planning mode. The second mode after the orchestrator, which is Fable 5, and the worker agents are going to be Kimmy K, Grok, everything like that. You then go into the second stage. The second stage is very, very specific to every single orchestrating agent. Nope, bad worker. Should be worker. Every single worker agent. Every single worker agent is going to be on a very specific contract on what they are building, doing, thinking, coding, architecting, databasing, front end, back end, researching. It doesn't matter. The worker agents, each of them, every single one of them that are spun up by the orchestrator after the plan has been built and the to-do list has been built, has a very specific outcome that they are doing. Once all of the agents have been collected and done, all of the work has been done, there is a signal that goes back to the orchestrator that says, hey, all of the orchestrating, nope, all of the worker, it goes back to the orchestrator, all of the worker agents have signaled that they have been collected and they are all done with their work. In that time, the orchestrator is going to spin up a Fable 5 agent that has zero context. It's very important that it has zero context. It has no idea why it's being brought in, except for this is the plan that the orchestrator wants. The Fable reviewer looks at everything that's been done, and then it scores it out of a 100. And when it is a 94 and below, it loops it back to the beginning to the orchestrator to then do the data collection in step 1, to then come up with what needs to still be done and then sends it out in step number 2. And then step number 3 goes back to the reviewer, which is Fable. The only two Fable instances being used are the orchestrator and the reviewer. The reviewer is being spun up with zero context, so it has no subjective desires to lean towards the workers or the orchestrator. It's just coming in objectively. Below me, there are notes on how we are going to be doing the loop, and what we are going to be doing is creating a website and an app within the App Store. When a user clicks on the app within the App Store, this is the URL. I think it's botenston.com/apps, right? botenston.com/apps. Yes. All right. This is one of the most important ones because I'm now going to take hours and hours and hours of thinking about this, distilling it into a website, distilling it into a prompt. That app is essentially going to be a website, and you are going to be giving the initial prompt that goes into chats, and it's using this orchestrator, worker, reviewer loop. And in the website, we are going to get a perfectly executed prompt that we put into a IDE that we are developing, and you are essentially coming out with the prompt. It's very important that we have the step-by-step and a very good comprehensive prompt that Claude approves, along with Boris, who is the Claude Code founder. We're using the above. Some of the initial prompts, this is very important because we have to have objectives. Some of the initial prompts are to review a website and improve it. Some of the prompts are going to be clone this exact URL, clone this exact app, clone this exact website. For example, it could be Google Docs or Google Drive or DocHub.com or Riverside.com or Squarespace.com. In other words, we are going to be cloning and replicating in loops apps and websites into the App Store, and we need the orchestrator to send out the review agents to find out all the features, to then send out the agents to build the app, and it continuously goes on a loop forever until it is completely built out and replicated any app, website, or idea, or suggestion, or inspiration that we have. The second part of this is going to be prompts that are follow-ups that essentially says, do the next highest, hardest priorities using the original idea, inspiration, app, website, spinning up worker agents, having Fable as the orchestrator. So essentially, we are in the planning mode of how we are going to set up a website that is an app within that Botenstein.com/apps area that users are going to use, and they're going to fill in potential URLs or apps or ideas or inspirations that they want replicated. There's also worker agents that need to be specified within the prompt. Do we have any idea what I just talked about? And below this is going to be hours and hours of research that I have already done for prompts. This is going to be a prompt generator that is on an orchestration worker reviewer loop, continuously add in all of the gaps and bugs and ideas that I forgot based on you even starting a loop right now as an orchestrator, sending out Haiku and Sonnet agents for research, and below making sure that we're able to create this in a one-shot loop with a reviewer Fable. Ask me any questions that you have, making sure that we're going to build this perfectly on a loop the first time around. Do I just give up? Do I just quit? That has to be one of the most bad A prompts ever conceived, ever. I am going to copy this and I'm going to create a new file, if I can do that. And essentially, why am I doing this? Over the weekend, I wanted to build certain things. I wanted to build out certain things. I want to use Google Drive. I want to use Google Calendar. or Botenstein Calendar, Botenstein Drive, or B Drive, B Calendar. I want to use these things. Right now, I cannot use the IDE because the IDE is not working. It's not good enough. It's not in the loop. Essentially, it is very specific in what I am creating. I give all props to all the vibe coders out there, all the people that are building and completing something. But we are going to continuously improve. Let's turn this down because I think it's blowing out my ears. We are going to continuously improve the prompts because not only is orchestration everything, having remote agents everything, but having the ability to pick up any single place, to prompt any single place. Agents, orchestration. Hey, listen, I want you to orchestrate this idea. I'm on a bike ride right now, but I want you to orchestrate this spinning up. That is the future. That is the future. The future is me going in here right now. I have no idea. I just used Fable. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. We're defaulting to Fable. We're defaulting for Fable. And this is what we're doing. Look how nice the website is. Left side, iCharles. But this is what we're doing. We're going in and we're saying, okay, the page for prompts, that's what we're working on. The page for prompts, that's what we're working on. And we're going to go over here and we're going to do this. We're going to turn this into that. Page for prompts, we're working on. Now we need to have a better calendar, to-do list, and checklist. So how are we going to do this? We got to go in and we got to go framework. We are using loop start. Here we go. So you just fill it in right here with the app or and to be honest, we're just going to use Fable as well here. With the Haiku or Sonnet agents. Haiku or Sonnet agents. Haiku or Sonnet agents. Haiku or Sonnet agents. And Haiku or Sonnet agents. You are the highest, most elite Fable project manager, orchestrator, agent, proficient as that. Blah, blah, blah. I want you to have the Fable orchestrator. Agent do deep thinking and research after sending out Haiku and Sonnet agents to understand that this is going to be, I want you to send out the orchestrator agent to do deep thinking and research after sending out Haiku and agents to understand the app. Understand that the app or site is going to be our competitor for this app. I want you to do deep research, bringing all these features, cloning it, replicating it to a specific doc with the objective, clear objections, sending out a Haiku, and the orchestrator is making sure that the Haiku agents, the reviewer is Fable. The Haiku set, it needs to come to a 94 out of 100 or better. And if it doesn't, then it sends it back to the Fable orchestrator with specific examples. You should have seen this thing was an absolute mess. The Fable orchestrator then sends it back out to Haiku and Sonnet. Right now it's Haiku and Sonnet. Someone said a very interesting thing, that the future models is just going to be Anthropic. And Anthropic is going to be the one that says, oh, okay, this is just research paper for biology. I can send out Haiku. Oh, okay, actually, this is mathematics and complex equations. This is Sonnet. Oh, okay, we're building a front end and back end. We need Opus. All right, we're doing a complex architecture, data analysis, and reorganization of the database. This needs Fable. I don't know we're going to be at that point yet, because people still not only are not on board with AI in general, but they're not smart enough. And I have many examples over the weekend about how I wish I was actually talking to a robot, cough, cough, Best Buy, than 4 to 5 people at Best Buy who are sitting on their cell phones acting like a bunch of Tommy wads. I don't even know what that word means. Absolute worthless. Bring it to the orchestrator, Fable orchestrator. You got to be very specific. Fable orchestrator, to make sure that we are bringing this up to a 94, up to a 95 in complete competition with the site or app. This, my friends, is known as a template. Actually, let's say this. You've used 70% 5% of your weekly limit? What are you talking about? There's no way. Oh, I forgot about Opus 5. Should I have used Opus 5 instead of Fable? Probably. Current session resets in 11 minutes. That resets in 20 hours. That's fine. I should have said Opus, actually, instead of Fable. You know what? I'm going to change that. Most elite Opus. I'm going to do that. I think it's less expensive. I don't know. Let's actually ask here. Let's go to Sonnet. Let's do that. Right now, in another chat, I am coming up with an orchestrator that is a very high Anthropic model, whether it's Fable or Opus 5.0 or Fable 5. What I want you to do is send out a Haiku or Sonnet agent to do deep research on the best way that is also token efficient to make sure that we have the highest leverage model for when we're doing orchestrating. And the orchestrating is going to be a to-do list or a checklist that's handing it out to workers. And the workers are going to be Haiku, which are going to be potential just research agents, and then Sonnet agents, so it'll just be Haiku or Sonnet agents that are workers. It then goes into a Fable or Opus reviewer at the end. The question is, should I be using the orchestrator or the reviewer as Fable or Opus? Do research and tell me within 1 to 2 sentences, max, why you choose Opus or Fable as the orchestrator. And what would you use as the workers? Because I think Haiku is too dumb, no offense to Haiku, to be doing what we want to be doing. So we might rely on Sonnet. All right, let's send that out. Use Opus 5. So obviously the in and output tokens are good, but I think, and I could be totally wrong, but I think Fable was built solely for orchestrating. And I think Opus was built for a generalized agent, a very good generalized agent. That's why I'm a little hesitant to use Opus, because am I using it in the right way? And to be honest, I was also thinking use Fable then Opus, but that's just overkill. Essentially, the left chat is going to be the IDE that is being built. I am very specific on what I am building in the IDE, where it's obviously been disclosed that when you send a prompt, there's a bunch of nonsense that's harnessed around your prompt that you send out. So you say, I want to build a to-do list. Well, you send that out, but Opus and OpenAI, or Anthropic and OpenAI, wrap your prompt around context. So you actually get a better result, which is good. However, it may actually be a hindrance to people like myself who want to use the full power and weight of the models and not using their nonsense that might actually be hindering what I want to do. I don't know if any of that made sense. I was going to say, I think with Soul and Fable or Opus, I think you can't use one without the other. It's kind of like, it's like a team. That's the best way to look at it, is you have the players, but you need a coach. And you can't have players without a captain. Everything is a hierarchy in nature. Everything is a hierarchy in government, in families, in businesses, in friend groups, in sales. Everything is in a pyramid. And that's what Okay, so it says over here. Okay, so it says Opus 5, not Fable. Fable's pricing latency. Actually, that's a great point. I never thought about the latency. Premium doesn't pay off for a coordinator. Very, very good point. Very, very good point. I forgot about that. Fable is extremely slow. It is extremely slow. So I'm going to remove Fable from these. And what I want to do is every live stream is essentially do three things. Number one is critical fixes of the IDE. Bringing that thing up that we have a prompt library. We even have a drop-down menu that says in this prompt, and then this is what, well, I don't want to bring it up, but there was something called Keywords Everywhere. Keywords Everywhere had an area that would fill in your OpenAI with a prompt. You just put in a website and then it was brilliant. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anymore, but go into your IDE and say, you know what, this one, for example, iCharles.com and Botenston.com, not good websites. But I also can't sell anything if the IDE is not up to what it needs to be. And with all of these features that I want to put in, so these are like this, the whole loops is going to be everything. And then I want to get to the point where it's in a recursive self-improvement based on the user. This person likes to improve, or this person likes to design websites. This person likes to do security, data architecture, wiring. This person is a restaurateur focused on their website and that's it. This person is actually building out their own IDE, AD, whatever. You know, it's the same thing with, oh, I didn't even include this right here. Oh, no, I did. Like the chat should always be on YOLO mode. The chat can talk to each other. They can prompt each other. They can bring in other agents. This is the future that is probably already created. However, it needs to be all encompassing. And it's not just vibe coding. It's bringing in what's my workout, what's my to-do list, what's my calendar, what's my appointments. Oh crap, I have a dentist appointment. Oh crap, I have to go to my sister's birthday party. In other words, one full environment that people live in. They do all of their work. It brings in their workouts. It brings in their to-do list. It brings in their email. It brings in their calendar, their docs, their drive. And then everything is remote. You have great memory. Obviously, looping and orchestration are one and the same. You can't have orchestration without looping. So I should just take that comma away. And to be honest, everything else is going to be like an added bonus. For example, for work, I need an e-signature. All right, let's go down here. All right, so this is going to be Opus. This is going to be Haiku Sonnet. Actually, it just says orchestrator, reviewer, workers are, okay, it just says Sonnet. You know what, let's do that. I didn't even want Haiku anyway. Haiku is just such a, I almost said the S word, but such crappy agent. All right, let's do that. I want to dial in not a perpetual, but let's dial this in. Okay, you're the highest, most elite. And then I also wanted to bring in other things. You're a builder, database, front end, back end, wiring, speed, architecture, designer, coder, tester, viewer. And then on top of it, the ultimate goal, to be honest, the ultimate goal is having a browser like Perplexity where it is going in and doing it yourself. Kind of like Cursor, but on itself. It's a combination of Cursor and Perplexity, where Perplexity, the problem with Perplexity is that their Comet browser is a massive eating of your RAM. It eats like 23 to 25 gigs. It was insane. When I had it on my computer, I was like, yeah, I'm not take away Haiku there. Like, give me, I want to test this out right now. So give me a, you know what I'm going to do? I wrote down the top 50. Actually, why is this a thing? You might have actually gave me this 50. It was the top 50, here we go, the top 50. If I was in here, I would be worried. If I was in here, these are the top 50. And by the way, as it says in the news, in right here, listen, as Sam Altman says, we are currently in the singularity. We are currently in the, I don't believe that, because I think the way that Ray Kurzweil explained it, and I could be totally wrong and totally open for it, is that so Altman said singularity. Listen, I got to be honest. In the next 6 months, the next 6 months are going to be wild, because there's a lot of silent stories coming out where they kind of want to do what they did to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs obviously came out with, what was the original? It was Mac 1 or Apple 1. What was the first computer by Apple? I forgot it. It was the something 1. And they kicked him out. The board kicked him out. And then he came back. He bought Pixar, turned that around, then came back onto Apple. And then for the next 15 years, from the late 1990s till he died, he was an absolute, nobody can come close to touching Steve Jobs in that 15-year run. Obviously, you have Jensen. Zucks is nowhere. Bezos can be up there with Amazon, but still, the products that Steve Jobs shipped was immaculate. He invented categories that people did not know they even wanted. The iPod with the scroll wheel, revolutionary. Picking your own color on your iMac or your eMac, I forgot what it was called then. The red or the blue. That was revolutionary. People are like, oh, it's just a color. That's revolutionary. Then he moved into areas that people didn't even know they wanted. iPod or iPads. I'm like, I even said this. This is stupid. It's a glorified large iPhone. Everyone poo-pooed the iPhone. It doesn't have a physical touch keypad. No one is going to do anything. The security's terrible. It's nowhere near BlackBerry. I almost said Blueberry. BlackBerry. The Palm Pilot is even better. Now, Cursor wasn't. Comet was by Perplexity. And to be honest, I am bullish on Perplexity and I am bullish on Google. I am neutral on OpenAI, and I am slight buy, because you obviously have sell, hold, buy in the investment world. It's a slight buy on Anthropic, but it's kind of neutral. It's kind of neutral. OpenAI is a hold, because if there's people that are putting out, in the backstories of doing, again, the Steve Jobs move, where they're going to kick out Sam Altman, even though Sam Altman just raised another ridiculous amount from SoftBank. SoftBank invested in Compass, who's the real estate. They invested in WeWork. The bridge loan of doing $40 billion has 21 additional institutions. Okay? That's people who want to get in on the game. Whether It's stupid investment funds by family offices, governments, universities, endowment funds, European banks. I don't know. I think in the United States, the banks, the PE firms, the VC funds, they're all in a holding pattern, because OpenAI should have been already talking about their IPO. Anthropic should have already been talking about their IPO. Neither of them have talked about it. The only one that has gone public is XAI. 135 share price to 2 and change, 220, 215, 220, I forgot what the high was, then down to 120. The big boys made their money. The run-up was by probably the mid-tier institutional investors. Those are not the big boys. Those are not the Sequoias. Those are not the HSBC, JP Morgan, the Goldmans. Those are the mid-tiers that ran it up. The Goldmans, the big boys, shorted it. It went down. The big boys made money on the run-up, and then the big boys made money on the way down. And guess who called it out on the shorts? Elon himself. No, I think the reason Perplexity is doing a different move. Perplexity is not going to be a frontier model, because obviously they are not releasing anything. Perplexity is going to be silently moving forward. They already, from Q1 to Q2, tripled their revenue. They're going to be the mid-tier, mid-size, going after hospitals, law firms, dare I say, they're going to be going after, let's give an example. They're going to go in New York. There's a huge hospital ring known as NYU Langone. So that's the NYU's it's a massive conglomeration. Okay, then you have Catholic Health out on Long Island. You have Northwell. These are massive, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. Perplexity is not going to go after those guys. They're going to go after the hospital systems that have $500 million in revenue, $250 million in revenue, and they're going to go in smartly, intelligently, and that's their lane. This is what I want to get to. And obviously the bugs. This is what I want to get to. Where I go in here and I say, what are the top 50 SaaS, Bitly, Typeform, Calendly, the CRM, scheduling, reviews, whatever. I want to go in here and I want to say, I want a Calendly built out. One shot, 5 hours, Opus, Grok, Kimmy K, Qwen. I could care less who the workers are. But I want to be able to say, Qwen, excellent vision. Grok, very fast. Kimmy K, front end. In other words, dialed in. And Opus literally says, okay, you know what? This is the researcher. Let's send out Sonnet. This is the front end, Kimmy K. This is the back end, OpenAI. And you literally just push it out. And I understand there's a lot of models that are like that. If you could one shot by putting in Calendly.com, Linktree.com, put in Typeform.com, put in Loom, CleanShot, put in Beehive, Kit, Mailer, Buffer, Later, put in Gumroad, put in all of these SaaS products, not only are they done, but now you're a guy that can use Botenston's IDE to create whatever you want. In your town, you pay me $40 a month. You use the IDE and whatever subscriptions you have. You live in Omaha, Nebraska. You live in, I'm trying to think of a nice Portuguese town. You live in Lisbon. You want to bring Lisbon churches, restaurant, tourism, transportation, healthcare, bullfighting. I don't know. I don't think bullfighting is allowed anymore. I was actually there when they were doing protests against it while we were going into the bullfighting arena. I never saw bullfighting, but we went into the arena. And the toros, the jousting. Should we actually call it toro? Welcome to Toro. No, I'm not elected to news right now, but I do have it open. The reason being is Boatenston.com is not just going to be going on XAI and seeing Alex Finn or Sam Altman talking about how he had a boys trip of a dozen guys and he wanted a Gmail. To be honest, I got to be honest, my opinion, kind of a loose tweet. Kind of a loose tweet. Okay? You know, in this comedic arena of Tom Segura and Christina P., they're getting a divorce, unfortunately, and I was on their podcast, as everybody knows. They would say, you know what? You got to be high and tight. The pants got to be high and tight. You know, the pant, you can't be loose. The bell bottoms or the pants and the buckle are loose. Your pants are loose. No. They're high and tight. You got high standards. You're buttoned up. You're looking daps. You're throwing on the daps. You got a little hat. You're growing out the hair a little bit. All right. The problem with this freaking IDE is that I first need to test it to make sure that it goes in with my Claude. Now I've got the fist clenching. First it goes in with the subscription. Then it's going in with the SSH. Now we're bringing in Grok. Now we're bringing in the orchestration. Now we're going remote. Now we're bringing in the cell phone. And now, if you go to Boatenston.com, you have this area on the bottom right. The bottom right essentially says, hey, listen, I see that you only had 4.5 hours of sleep. Sorry, I had a great weekend with the family. I got to call my mom. By the way, I didn't even put that in there. But you know what? The to-do list, the notes, I got this thing on my wrist. I hold it down. I say whatever it is. It goes into the notes. Who's to say this thing right here, I don't have a webhook that now starts building? It starts building. And if you want, all of it's connected. Your Todd, hey, listen, look at what I did. Look at what I did. It's under Plowed, whatever it is. I'll go into my Plod. Okay, come on. There we go. So I talk into it. I am logged in. I should be logged in. I could care less. You can see my meeting notes. This thing, the only thing I don't have is the hardware. The software, brilliant, but the problem is for them, subscription model. Stupid for them. Don't own everything. You're not well known. You're not well known. And essentially you go in here, you talk into it, and it could be a to-do list. I need protein. Who's to say that thing is not routed? Charles needs protein. I'm going to order it. Prompt Todd, which is your personal AI model, to put in the to-do list. Prompt Todd to actually talk to Orbit, who's the IDE, to build out this new app that I got from a shareholder. I click on it. This is the transcript. Okay, so I got a guy at the gym that said, hey, listen, let's do an open swim. And I said, is there wetsuits? Yes, there's wetsuits. Do I need a safety buoy? Yes. So I got to buy a safety buoy. I already have my wetsuit. This is a personal thing. But I would have actually forgot about this if not for me talking into this and it automatically syncing to my iPhone, this thing needs to be synced into my Todd AI. I tried to do it yesterday. It was not working. The future is going to be glasses. Even though there was a story right here. Nope. Okay, I didn't bring it in. I deleted it. Here we go. No, I didn't delete it. Always on AI wearables spark privacy warnings. I have someone I know personally that they're with their friend. They're visiting some country. And I'll go back to the chats. I'm just on a rampage. I'm on a rampage. Today, tons of value. I went to Best Buy. I'll bring in a couple of stories right now. I went to Best Buy. I wanted to pick up this thing, this wearable. It's called Plaud. Plaud. It's the only one that I see that you can actually, it's decent. It doesn't look too bad. It kind of looks like you're doing your health, but when you're talking to it, people look at you like, is this a spy? Is this guy working for Mossad? Is he an MI6? Is he CIA, FBI, CSI? Is he, anyway. Went to Best Buy. Best Buy, I look over to the guy and he's wearing the Meta glasses. Meta is now no longer contracted with Oakley and Ray-Bans. Meta has their own hardware. They are no longer using the factories of Oakley nor Ray-Ban. Do you understand how insane that is? It went from, we have the idea, we have the engineers, we have the software, we have everything. We just need glasses to put them on. And we need a known brand because you already have that. You already have the raw materials to turn it into eyeglasses, and we'll put it under your brand and we'll essentially give you a royalty every single time. They made a huge amount of money. However, I went to Best Buy. The guy said, these are Meta glasses. I said, I know they're Meta glasses, but I don't see Ray-Ban. I don't see, he goes, no, Meta makes these. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, Meta makes these. So Meta is so in on this that they cleared out a 75-foot by 75-foot area in some Best Buys just for Meta glasses. I said, what's going on over there? He goes, oh, they're constructing Meta glasses, trying on augmented reality. They now have screens. They now have it for triathletes and runners and bikers. They now have the screen right there. I went into another Best Buy. The guy goes, oh, I love it. I take pictures all the time. The only crappy thing is the battery life sucks. The battery life sucks. You hear Joe Biden. Did he say that? So the last thing is with this, because there is a lot I want to build. Let's just go back to the building, Charles. All right. So this was the template that I want to do. And I want to make sure I only use Opus and I only use Sonnet. Delete Haiku right here. Whoop, almost deleted the whole thing. Delete Haiku right there. And then we're going to go in and we are going to Sonnet right there. This is a complete test. We're going to change this to Opus 5. And now I want to take one of these out of the top 50. Where is that? Did I already delete out of it? Not Plaud, whatever. Not new chat. Not overcoming fears. Here we go. The problem with this is it said these right here make Zapier, N8N. Dude, if I was Zapier, it's kind of like BlackBerry. You had your run. No one's going into Zapier unless Zapier becomes a Perplexity. Unless Zapier literally makes a course correction that is insane. Momentum is a browser extension. Actually, that's a good point. What if we have our custom browser extension, our own Botenston.com browser extension, which we did already, and we build in, maybe that's later. Bitly, we already did. You know what? Actually, no. I want to do from the ground up. So we'll put that on the side. All right. So this is I need to commit all of this so I can download and open up the new orbit. Make sure that all files for this are tested and that it scored a 95 or better on the original prompt to make sure that we are completely up to the highest standard when it comes to an IDE, that we're able to bring in any of the 4 AI models through our subscriptions, wrapped around the harness of their own CLI that they have themselves, so we are not breaking their terms of service, and that we're able to go in and connect any 4 of those under our subscription models, and that the player for YouTube works. This is essentially going to be, okay, so this is the page. This says it's shipped. I am extremely hesitant about this. Extremely hesitant. Let's see. Okay. Drop in a clone website, review and improve, next highest, hardest priorities, follow-up loop, custom objective. Let's go with this. Let's go to bit.ly.com. 9.5, Sonnet workers, generate prompt. Okay. You are the highest, most reliable Fable 5. You know, I want to, yeah. Okay. So I'll have to review that in complete detail, but not a bad start where the prompt is clearly being built out separately, but it's going to be integrated into the IDE, where this is going to be at the bottom part. And this is probably going to be, it's updating to 147, I think it said. Then it restarts. Here's what's new. Okay. Obviously the music pooed out on that. All right, so we need to sign out. I don't know why it's still asking about this freaking Grok and OpenAI, man. That, I don't know if it has to be on, also, we need to send out some Sonnet agents to find out why these 2 models are continuously asking how to install. We are not having any members look to install this. The most important thing is that they just click a button to authorize under all 4 models, especially these 2. Because we are using this on my Mac Studio, that is where it is downloadable to make sure that all models are already downloadable, easy to connect and authorize for each individual user's subscription. Focus the Sonnet agents on very specific detailed instructions to make sure these are working specifically. All right, send that out. What I want to do, okay, so this was actually a very good initial V1. What I want you to do is review everything with a Sonnet agent. I want Opus to be the orchestrator. The Sonnet agent, send out as many as you want when it comes to either the research on how Boris from Claude Code wants to have prompts sent in, how Claude likes to have prompts sent in, so there is a perfect orchestration along with review agents and reviewer. What we've done is hard-coded in agents that have AI models tethered into the prompt. What I want is to have a selection of what I want the orchestrator to be, or who the orchestrator is going to be, who the workers are going to be, and who the reviewer is going to be. So in other words, we are looking at how the prompt is going to be orchestrated based on what the user wants, whether that's a front-end design, a website, a back-end, data, database, wiring. It needs to be responsive on all screen sizes. But most specifically is that the user is able to actually choose the orchestrator model. In this case, I want to be able to move away from Fable, go to Opus. Don't put in Opus 5 because that means it is specific to Opus 5. We're just saying Opus. and it will know which Opus model. Then the workers are going to be Sonnet agents instead of Haiku. And then the reviewer is going to be Opus as well. Again, nothing is hard-coded. Everything is going to be a multi-choice based on what the actual user wants. We are going to make sure that this is not hard-coded. Everything is pulled in dynamically from the database because we will eventually incorporate this into the IDE named Orbit in the apps area. Again, we're going to run on loops. The reviewer and the orchestrator are going to be Opus. The workers are going to be Sonnet. All right, the reviewer, the workers, here we go. Let's delete that. Like, if we are building, we have an exploit. All right, let's do the exploit. We'll fire up an Opus. We'll fire up an Opus. We'll fire up an Opus, and then we'll also get the music back up and running. I don't know what's going on with the music. There we go. That was weird. I got to get that working in the background now that I had to get new. So this is a good framework right here. All right, so you're saying there's an exploit? Let's go to bugs. Boasted.com is at my username level. Oh. That's not good. Where is the exploit? By the way, congratulations to Mark Miller. Let's just go into this. Mark Miller built out his own build. Love to see this, by the way. Love to see this. Love to see it. Mark Miller's got his own. This is what I recommend. Is you go in and you say, look at the debug. Love it, Mark. You got the fire team. You go, what's going on, Mark Miller? Oh, boy, you got to sign in. Say my work, add a photo. Love to see it. Love to see it. This is what I recommend. There's so many people on X trying to make... You have 3 people on X, or there's 2 people on X. There's 3 people on X, I should say. You have the mid-tier who are actually building, like the Bridgemind guy who's building, he has a SaaS, he has something. Congratulations to him, all flowers out to him. Then you got the people who are in the stands. They buy the jerseys of the people who are mid-tier. They buy the Bridgemind. They're not actually playing or anything else. They go in and they say, I spent $250,000. I went into MIT. I graduated from Harvard, Cornell, Oxford, you name. You have no idea what you're talking about. The issue is, I am not building a Model T Ford. You still own a horse. You may even have a horse farm. The horse farm is no longer. I was able to buy a Model T Ford, which is faster than your horse, more reliable than your horse, and I don't know how to feed a horse. In other words, you understand code and coding and the back end. However, you're getting pissed off, and I don't usually say that word often, but you get pissed off and you're jealous and you want to take down all the boys that are actually in the arena who put on their jersey, who earn their jersey, who are just fumbling around with their jersey. They didn't buy their jersey, they earned their jersey, and they're mid-tier. And then you got the guys who are Carpathies, the guys who people talk about, who are brilliant, and no one will touch them. They just are built different. They're just built different. I'm not going to be a Carpathy. I'm not going to be a open Claude bot, whatever the heck. I forgot his name, even though I used it a lot. Steinberger. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not being picked up by the boys. I don't want to sign those contracts. It's not like they're even asking me. But I'm going to be that mid-tier guy who goes out and says, Mark Miller, you are a hard hat, blue-collar guy who needs to exploit the crappy systems that all contractors in your 5, 10, 15, 20 mile radius are using the crappiest software. You are a blue collar guy who's building software to have all of the electricians, the plumbers, the masons, the roofers, the contractors, the GCs, the pavers, it doesn't matter. You build facades, you do foundations, you do framing, you do wiring. All of that still needs to be on somebody's cell phone at the job site. Build that. That's worth $150, $200K a year. And you're one of those guys. That's why in the back of my mind, I still have a sick build for real estate agents, because I was one of them for 17 years. I still am. I have an appointment in a bit. And I still need to do this because I'm making no money. But this is clearly my passion going forward. Check out the tools in studio. I got to sign in. Give me there it is. My boy's even using the ML. And by the way, it expires. Love it. Love it. You know what I like about Bridgemind and this other guy, I forgot his name, that is also building? There's people, even like myself, who's creating what he's created, but you just level it up. You think I thought of Magic Link? You think I thought of an expiring? No. I was prompted on YouTube because I had an iPhone, an old iPhone, that all I did was go to the gym with it. It was a crappy iPhone. I downloaded my videos. I downloaded the music at the time. This is 5 or 6 years ago. And then it said, you can't use me anymore because you haven't connected to the internet in 30 days. I had to reconnect to the internet to then re-verify my subscription. That's exactly what I'm building right now. Within the IDE, instead of saying you have a code, remember you'd have a code on the back of the software and you type that in. I forgot the name of the code. It was actually a serial code. It wasn't a serial code. It was a whatever code. But mine is going to be, it's been a week since you, or 30 days since you've connected to the internet. You got to connect to the internet, verify the Botenston.com Stripe connection. But it's going to be everything. See, there you go. I even want to take out Haiku. And I totally agree with what I said, and I heard it over the weekend, which is, whoops, not a new tab. Okay. Where is, oh, here's the exploit. There you go. You know what's interesting? How easy it was for the Anthropic. Think about all of the exploits that happen. Yeah, we're going to use Opus for that. The amount of exploits that came out of... Okay, so this is version 1. Wave 5 is running. The wave that takes the product score from 93 to 95. Hardening the privileges, unifies the binary. I want to get to the point. The ultimate goal, and this is probably a month out. We're in July right now. By Labor Day, which in the United States is around September, I think September, actually I'm going to be away with my family upstate at that time. And that's going to be, by the way, I swam, I don't have my goggles with me. I use Form goggles, which actually, it's the best goggles, by far the best goggles. It actually does everything that the watch does, but better. Stroke per minute, average per minute, how far you've gone, average pace, everything. And you customize the display while you're swimming. It's sick. I think I did 2,000 yards, which I think is, let's go to Perplexity. You know what? I want to build out Riverside. I'm just getting in a real feisty mood. A real feisty mood. Just real feisty. Copy the worker on Pastebin. Link as well, because the one literally expired after seeing it in a month. Why do we have our own Pastebin within the app for Boatenston.com? I built one called Boatenston or B-Paste. Boatenston's way too hard. Nobody cares about that. I do want to build this out though. You know what? We're gonna use this framework right here for the Riverside. The Riverside. The ultimate goal is I am coding within, this is my IDE. On the left side, instead of all those little things, I have my browser, I have the news, I have the to-do list, I have my inbox, I have my calendar, I have everything on the left side. I live in one interface. And then it's crowdsourced, obviously not the original, but it's crowdsourced apps where someone says, hey, listen, I want a calorie tracker. I want a contractor who checks in on the job. How do you check in on the job? You got to do a location, because now I know you went to the job site and you clocked in. How do you clock out? I don't know. In other words, I'm just freestyling on that, but I want to take this. I want to take this. You know what? We're also gonna do that other one. I'm feeling very generous today. Very generous with the tokens. For example, I don't want to say it. I was on my bike this weekend, and when you're on your bike I was on 2:45, 2 hours, 45 minutes. About 2:40 something. What was I on? Strava. I only averaged 17 miles an hour because the wind was brutal. The wind was brutal. All right, so I want to build also a Strava area where we're sharing our Stravas. Okay, so I was 241. I went 46 miles. And I did actually, a girl passed me on it. Granted, she just did one up. If I did one lap, I would be averaging at least 20 miles an hour. Because on the way back, I was averaging little over 21 miles an hour, which still is slow. In my peak, I would have been probably 20 to 25 in my peak in 2019. And I want to get to those levels. All right, let's do this. All right, so this is the new framework. This is the new framework. And then this is going to be the, let's go up here. Let's put in I also don't want to be using Google Docs anymore. Like it sounds really prideful. And, you know, Lord, Father, for they know not what they do. Very prideful. I want to inspire people to start building stuff. I almost said the S word, to start building stuff. Just start building. You know, everyone's just sitting on the internet, just doing absolute, okay, let's quit this. We also need to see, even this, you can't even resize it. And it says Opus 4.8. Yeah, this is just an absolute trash that, to be honest, it's close to pissing me off. It's very close to pissing me off. Because I'll go into settings and I just cannot get, it should not be logging me in. It should not be logging me in. It should not be logging me in. And this should not say install. It should not say install. Like, how many times do I have to bring this up? Do I have to, I might put this into here and go to, I might need to do a fresh chat. Because that's just absolute trash. Absolute trash. I might, you know what I'm going to do? It's going to be called cheating, but we're going to go and just say, how does Bridgemine and the Canvas guy do it? Because I need to be able to, and I guarantee it'll come back verifying because it's on my local computer, which is already, Kimmy's already on my local computer, Claude's already on my local computer. It should, you know what, I might need to be remote automatically. I know I said that before, but I might need to be remote. The original paste ban was pasted way before. Yeah, it was. I want you to send out Sonnet agents on the only way to actually do a subscription of all of the agents that we want to connect. I'm sorry, all of the AI models that we want to connect. There's 4 of them right here that I am going to be connecting that I have a subscription with. Do we need to actually be in a remote environment like a VPS to be making this happen? Or can we just be doing this through the IDE for now? The issue right now is that I am actually remote in my MacBook laptop, SSH'd into where the IDE DMG file is, that is in my Mac Studio. I then download the DMG file onto my MacBook laptop, and I'm SSH'd into the Mac Studio, but the IDE is not. So we have 3 issues that we need to resolve. Number 1 is, do I need a remote environment like a VPS? Number 2 is, how do users who are SSHing into a remote computer going to be able to handle this? And number 3 is, we need to use me as the only account who has access and subscriptions to all of these models to be able to remotely download the IDE onto my MacBook laptop, use any of the subscriptions within the IDE to do any coding in the IDE, and then the final boss would be to SSH into remote computers. Send out a sonnet with the specific examples and instructions to look at those 2 original URLs on how they actually did it. And then you come back. Opus is the orchestrator. The Sonnet model is the workers. And the reviewer is Opus. Do not send out multiple Opus agents. Send out multiple Sonnet agents. The only model being used for Opus is the orchestrator and the review agent. Man, it is 1,000 degrees in here. Okay, so that's waiting. This area right here, you know what I noticed? I think a good area is LinkedIn. A good area to exploit is LinkedIn. Okay, so this is going to be Riverside. We're going to take that out. We're going to go to Riverside. We are going to take that. We're going to put that project manager, PWA. I want you to orchestrate. So it's under the site app. Site app. On botenston.com/apps/studio. And yes, we will work on and yes, we're going to be working on in a second. Nope, this should be Opus, not Fable. I wonder what, I have a conspiracy theory. I don't think the killers of JFK acted alone. No, I'm joking. I think that Mythos was rebranded and harnessed and guardrailed, and they launched it as Fable. Complete conspiracy theory. Complete conspiracy theory. I thought of that on my bike ride. I was like, what happened with Mythos? Because we're not talking about it. The government's not talking about it. The FBI's not talking about it. The Trump administration's not talking about it. Anthropic's not talking about it. Where did Mythos go? What happened with Mythos? Was that the really watered down Fable that we got? And then you distilled from there Opus 4.5? You know, it's not that crazy to think about that. All right, let's go to Opus. Let's send that out. All right. Now, within here, there should be a one-click follow-up that automatically goes in there based on what's going in the chat. It reviews the chat, and it comes in with a follow-up prompt. Brilliant idea. So instead of me reprompting it, follow up, here's the orchestrator, here's the worker, here's the review agent, it says, okay, I've read everything. I've been in tune with this conversation. I've had Sol or Quen or Kimmy K review everything. And here's the follow-up prompt. We're actually going to upgrade it to a better worker, a better reviewer, a better orchestrator, or we're going to even decrease it. Or because Quen has no visualization. Is it Quen doesn't have a visualization or Kimmy K doesn't have a visualization? I don't know. It's one of them. Okay. All right. So you want me to... Already did that. The issue is... There you go. The issue... Oh, this is the community? All right. Yeah, I was going to say the community clearly is the second-hand responsive MVP. Okay, hierarchy system cleanup. Yeah, I agree with the motion. Security. Hold on. Why'd you add yourself? Got it. Between us. All right. All right. Let's go over here. Read it. Let's send that out. You know what I want to do too? This is what I want to do. I want to literally upgrade all of the... This person likes to do security, data architecture, wire. Yeah, I saw that before. Yeah, I saw that before. And that no link to go to my profile. That's completed. Username. Yep. All right, so all three of those are pretty much the same. Those are all pretty much the same. I do want to work on, in the background, the docs, drive, and calendar. Drive, calendar. My mom always says, calendar, calendar. Inbox, drive, docs. What were the other ones? Tasks. and checklist. You know what? Let's do the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing. Google Docs, Drive, Gmail, Calendar, Tasks, to-do list. Let's go Streaks, app, to-do list, or Todoist is actually a good one, Todoist. And then what's a good checklist? I don't know a good checklist. All right. Let's go over here. Agents to understand that the below the bottom apps sites are, not is. All right, let's delete this. Massive upgrades, massive upgrades. Lots of upgrades, UI, UX, the features, everything. There must be massive upgrades on the following as people are using this as a major part of their personal life to make sure that they are on top of crushing the world and their life. Meanwhile, I'm starting, yes. For this, I want to have the orchestrator a Opus level and Sonnet workers spinning up Sonnet agents, as many as you want, with specific instructions and contracts to do what you as the Opus agent tells them to do. Do not do Opus multi-agent, do not do multi-Opus researcher. It is only up to Sonnet workers, and then have a review agent of Opus at the end. Do all of this within the doc. Chew. Okay. We got a lot going on. The reason being is I am opening up my own inbox. I am my own guinea pig. I am my own calendar. I opened up and now using the checklist for getting ready for triathlons on weekends. What does that mean? That means, okay, what I've scoped and ready to launch. Okay. Wait, did I just, okay. If you meant doc, each worker gets its own work tree? No, I don't want that. Personally, I'm not a work tree guy. I want all of the agents to understand what each of the other agents are doing, whether it's workers or the Opus orchestrator. We also need to actually research, first of all, what the build spec is going to be. Do not ask for approval. Do not ask for building anything or doing anything. You are on a complete YOLO, just go, automatic approval on everything based on what the orchestrator wants, based on what the Sonnet agents say, based on what the Sonnet agents are told what to do with an Opus reviewer at the end. Okay, so this is the Riverside. Holy cow. Dude, that is a crazy amount of research for Riverside. That is a crazy amount of research. So essentially, when I do, yes, this also, let's do another one, because these things also are super easy, but they need to go. Let's go into this. Come on, get out. There we go. Let's go. I don't need Opus for that. Let's do this. Actually, all of these can be one. All of these can be one. Because these are all roughly the same. These are all roughly the same. All right, we'll send the first one out. That's on Sonnet high. That better be on high. Okay, effort high. All right, let's go to working on Claude. See this on desktop, that's number 2. And then number 3, which is also the same thing, yeah. Okay. And then that's gonna be down here. That's gonna be, boy, I cannot wait to connect multiple agents and do what I have been thinking about the entire time. The tree is currently in a known broken intermediate state. So screenshots this instantly. The visual pass. Wave 5 is mid-flight. Next action fires into its notification. All right, so build a, that is the actual orchestration page. The prompt page, I should say. My new favorite prompt paradigm is MVP, then build towards, then build outwards. Check the bugs working on prompts. I don't know. Okay, so this is, that's the Riverside. Why are you not at the bottom? Go to the bottom. Are you still working? Holy cow. Look at the context window on that. Note the 2 research agents disagree on pricing. The second flagged Riverside's own page. Okay, we're not stealing their pricing. Holy cow. That's way too much. This is the prompt page. All right, let's go to the prompt page. Let's make sure the apps, books browser, sign in. First of all, what is the actual order of this? What is the actual order? Let's see if there's anybody that called. All right, good. Oh, I'm in do not disturb mode. Hi, honey. FYI, you can share this for us when he... Oh, wow. They installed a new system. Charles, you have a chance to look at my last note. Oh my gosh, dude. The amount of people that exploit me for business. Yeah, there was a guy that crashed through a school window near my mom. We came back from upstate New York. This guy, he clearly had a medical something. He flew across a major avenue, missed a major telephone pole by maybe a foot, flew through a metal pole that operates the fire tower into about 100, probably 200 feet away, into a school. And I'm looking at it, and the guys, there's like, 50 ambulances around, and it was like 5 towns were called for this because nothing happens where my mom is. The guy literally comes out of the trunk to get into the stretcher, this older guy. And then they wheel him into the ambulance. And I'm like, this guy needs to go to church tomorrow. He literally slammed into a 10-foot area that is brick wall, missed a telephone pole and a metal fire alarm pole, and just literally missed 2 solid brick walls, foundational brick walls, and slammed into windows and blew through. If that doesn't be like, okay, you know what? I think I need to, see if there's anyone looking down at me. Dude's lucky to be alive. Lucky to be alive. All right, so that's the bugs. You should have seen it. Bugs working on. The paste bin is done deal prompt. bugs equals working on. The pastebin link is a done deal prompt. And paste it into the Claude. I crafted a full prompt. I'm in do not disturb mode 24/7. I only got the first responder calls on a wait list. Yeah, look at this guy. Well, I'm not gonna, it's on, well, I'm not gonna, yeah. Look at this. Look at that. Dude flew in to a car. Look at that. Look how lucky you are, bro. Lucky you are. This was the only damage to the car. That was the only damage to the car. Guy walks away, airbags. Actually, no, the airbags did deploy. I thought they didn't deploy. The fire alarm was going off. Good day, Charles. Hello, Ocean. All right, let's go back to the prompt. All right, clone website. I like it. I like it. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go into a new window and we're gonna use Opus. And what was the other one? Manual? What is manual? Ew, get that out of here, manual. We're not gonna use Sonnet. We're gonna use Opus on high, and we are going to do this. We are going to do this. And we are going to do, we're gonna have a follow-up prompt. You know what, let's build out the follow-up prompt. Based on the way that Claude wants it, Boris from Claude Code, the way that we put it in the beginning, to make sure that we have a comprehensive methodology and framework to prompting. Is there anything within this chat that you would recommend that we do? Because this is going to be rolled out to 500 users who are banging on the door to get access to this prompt framework. Is there, and what is there that still needs to be incorporated to make sure that people are able to have that initial prompt of cloning something, reviewing something, security, back-end, coding, front-end, database, architecture, maybe a review of the website. Then when that happens, and it comes through, and there's a lot of research done, and the orchestration and the looping happens until it gets to a 95 out of 100, there needs to be on this page a follow-up that essentially scours the beginning part of that chat, and it has a framework that says to move on to the next highest priorities with this chat with the same framework, and doing and adding or reviewing or testing or screenshotting anything that has not been done already through the same orchestration framework with the orchestration, the workers, and the review agent. In other words, a follow-up prompt from the initial prompt, but the follow-up prompt must be specific to the chat, not knowing what the chat is. So it can't be essentially as specific, but it essentially says, use the same framework, making sure to build out anything that was not built out, a checklist, a to-do list that the orchestrator still wants to do, or workers missed, or there's a gap or something needs to be debugged. I cannot wait to put this into the IDE and complete break it. I cannot wait to break it. That's really, you dancing to Flight of the Conchords. I have no idea what that is. All right, so wave 5B is, so in other words, the future is you go to 95 out of 100. Once you hit 95 out of 100, now you unlock, or you're now able to, if then. It's an if then. If you are 94 and below, you go back to Orchestrator. You now hit 95 and above, you then go on, and then there's the second prompt, which is this follow-up. The follow-up prompt, essentially in the future, is going to be tailored exactly to what the initial prompt is. Right now, the way that we're building it is you don't know what the initial prompt is because the follow-up prompt is just this general framework. Oh, you built that version 1? Well, we need version 2 and version 3. Oh, you built out the general landscape for this game? Well, we also need to add in multiplayer, music, a ability to chat, high scores, scoreboard. In other words, a full looping, kind of like version 1 into version 2 into version 3. That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. So you essentially go V1 looping into V2. You can even say in the initial prompt V1, V2, V3. I think that's a good idea, actually. In the initial prompt, you're saying dial out a comprehensive V1, V2, V3, and you loop until V1 hits 95. If it hits 95, it moves on to V2. If it doesn't meet 95 in V2, then it loops back to V2 until it meets 95. So these are loops. And this is L2, loop 2, until loop 3, and honestly, or V2, or V1, V2, V1, V2, V2, V3. So essentially, the best way to say this is this will essentially be the background too. This will be the background. You go into apps, you go into, where is it? Did you already take it out? Not studio, prompt, OBS library, coaching referrals. You already took it out? What was it called? Not studio. Freehand? Was it freehand? What did I name it? Nope. Crap. It was, I had it. I get it at the boys' room. The problem is I drink so much water during my morning workout that I get to here and I just, the browser, yeah, the browser is good outside of, okay, so this is the pace bin. A report when the fleet lands. Why do you call it fleet, by the way? Not liking that it's V1, V2 is MVP. What you're trying to do is in my prompt in bugs. Dude, look at this. Breakfast of Champions right there. BBQ! Bing chillin'. Bing bong. Oh, you got the old school. Are these the old school? No, those are the new ones. Monster energy drink. Holy cow. I don't want to say never because I probably have, but boy, that would probably set me back a year or two. All right. I'll hold here rather than screenshot half a written tree. We got to go away from trees, man. Trees need to be cut down. Work trees, cut them down. What the heck is it called? Is it called presentation? And why is that app not in here? You know what? Let's go into here. Which one is this? Okay, let's open up another one. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. I want you to look into the apps area within Bodensten.com. That's Bodensten.com/apps. There should be some domain name or app that is not showing up in the apps area, and it has something to do with drawing or presentation or freehand. In other words, it is a complete replica of being able to freehand draw out whatever you want. I think I included this within the IDE. However, it was taken out of the App Store, and I want it to be added back in so I can actually make it better and reference it. Look for that area, add it back into the App Store, and then give me the URL. All right, boys and girls, give me 13 seconds. I get at the boys' room, and I got to send this out. Almost didn't send this out. Almost didn't put it on bypass permissions.
Yeah, I need that name. But that's a way back.
Hot mic. Whoa. By the way, someone yesterday actually passed by, totally my type. Totally my type. I was grocery shopping. The issue was not, all right, so this was, all right, so that should have fixed everything. That was easy. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Stupid. Stupid. All right, go find that. I think I'm gonna use Opus instead of Fable for the IDE from now on. It just takes way too long. It just takes way too long. Okay, so this was, I'll hold on to the, where's the Bill Sand right now? Cole Parr is holding. A report when the fleet lands, run the full visual pass, only then commit. I wish I could just work on other project or other things and kind of merge it in there. Like I might even just do that now. Let's just do a little bit of research. I have an IDE that I am going to be launching out to the world. It's going to be blowing the socks off of every single vibe coder out there. Everyone is going to be clamoring at the door looking to move to New York City. I'm going to be elected mayor because of exactly what I'm going to be building. And one of the biggest features is going to be a Perplexity Comet browser style where the agent of your choice, and it doesn't matter. I am completely agnostic to all the agents. You could use Chinese models, you could use French models, you could American models, you can do open source, closed source. I could care less. But I want you to use a model that has good eyeballs, good visualization, can actually move the mouse around, just like I was in a Comet browser by Perplexity, and it clicks around and it could use automatically all of the options within a website and does and clicks around autonomously. This is a massive, massive feature that I want to put into my IDE. Do and send out a ton of Sonnet agents to do research, thinking about it, a to-do list that comes back to you as Opus, the orchestrator, who would then come up with a plan to make this happen. There is only solutions. There is only yes. There is only doing. There is only I can do this. Figure it out. Keep on going, looping until you have the best way that we could be doing this, considering that we have our own browser, and this is the URL for it. And also send out a review agent to give me a reason why the browser, the custom browser that we've created, is not working right now, because that's going to be incorporated into the IDE. Or the IDF. I dated someone from the IDF. Well, she wasn't in it. Oh, something was just added. Freehand. Oh, it was just added. Oh yeah. What's good? What's good in the hood? Delete. Delete. Ah, this, my friends, is why we do what we do. Set up a screen when you walk away to OBS. Why you haven't built your own? Why haven't you built your own OBS? OBS, as buggy as it is, so what you can do, so what I want to do, okay. First, it's going to be on a looping. It's going to be version 1. See, this should be, okay. So this would be version 1, version 2. See, I could even work on one of these. Version 3, version 4. So it's an if-then, which is essentially ones and zeros, which is binary code, how your graphical interfaces, how your monitors work, how your cell phones work, how the world works. The world works on ones and zeros, which is insane to even think about. And I forgot the guy's name who thought of it. Who is the gentleman that thought of the ones and zeros back in the late 1800s, early 1900s? What's his name? Ah, Boole. I forgot. George Boole. George Boole. Look at this guy. What an absolute monster sideburns. You would not get into a duel with this guy. This was taken when he was 11 years old, too. He had a full-on receding hairline by age 12 with sideburns that rivaled Jefferson and Lincoln. A polymath. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Ones and zeros, trues and false. Okay, so let's go in here. This was, okay, that was the browser. Let's go into the browser. Let's keep our head in the game, Botenston. Keep our head in the game. The browser needs to be, look at these apps, boys and girls. The apps are going to be, all right, so the browser is going to be, we're building out slowly. This is going to be the browser. The apps, custom browser, you already have it. Okay, so we're going to send that out as well. Opus 1 million contacts, let's send that out. Oh my gosh, what is up with adding in a freaking slash command? Why is, hello? All right. Multi-window isolation is probably keyed composition. Okay, let's go. Let's land something, boys. Okay, here's the exploit. This needs to be coming back with a yes or no answer. Was everything in here completely hardened to make sure that there is absolutely no exploits going on anymore? The main reason that you are coming back with any answer is only after a Sonnet worker or workers are sent out to test, review, and harden any exploits that has to do with this or anything else within the project. I just need this guy to finish. Fable, bless your heart, but way too slow. Way too slow. Way too slow. And then this guy right here is... All right, so now it's looking up different browsers. There we go. Now it's using Quen. I'm completely agnostic now. I used to be American flag, 1776, 250, let's go America. Now it's even going to different, wow. It's going to Mythos. The Claude Mythos name is suspicious. Hold on, where did it say that? Where did it say that? Good start, let me dig deeper into the primary sources. Comment is valuable, plus power-based docs, steel.dev in the CDP input injection, trusted events question. Found a candidate for IDD. Okay, so you already have that. For found, launching the second wave. Did I say going to a loop? Wow. We just got to go over the news for 13 seconds while that's hammering in the background, because there is so much crap going on that is all about stealing our mind and potential money, but most importantly, our time. Our time. Our voice and our mind. That is the only thing. About 5 years ago, they said anything that you... This is when I was into personal development. Whatever you think is immediate. Thinking is on the conscious wavelength, the God wavelength. You are connected to source. You're connected to universe. You're connected to energy. This is when I was into that. And speech is creation. Speech is creation. Thought is immediate. And at the time, it made sense because I was into non-dualism. However, as I really dig into it, the only two things that we have is thought and speech. That is it. Thought and speech. You take away my voice, I can still think, but I can't speak. You take away my thinking, I'm done with... It's a loop. If you can't think properly, you can't create properly, you cannot speak properly. So in other words, you can speak faster than you can type. You can think faster than you can read. So in other words, the future is going to be a voice prompt in any way it comes. Through glasses, through a wearable, whatever the case is. But you need both. The problem with a lot of people is they don't know how to think. I'll give you an example. I was at Best Buy. I ordered this thing. There was one left. So I said, I don't know if someone's going to take it. I'm going to order it. I'm assuming they go to the shelf, they take it off the shelf, and they put it behind there, and they put a sticker on, and they say, this is for Charles Botenston. Long story short, I talked to a guy for 15 minutes. He said, we don't have it. You got to wait till it says we have it. I said, well, is it on the shelf or is it in the back? He said, I don't know. I said, well, if someone could know, potentially, where would it be? In the back, or is it on the shelf? He said, I don't know. Okay, well, obviously, you don't know if it's in the back. They probably would have scanned it and it would have went in the back. I said, where is this on display? Maybe I'll just cancel my order and then just buy it. I went through him for 15 minutes. There's no display, and he said, it's probably in a warehouse. Maybe you'll go somewhere else and get it. I went to a group of 5 men who were just hobgobbling on a Saturday while Best Buy was busy. I had no luck with any of those men. They couldn't think outside of the box. I'm saying, if I ordered the only one to be picked up, that means it's probably off the shelf and it's probably in the back for me to do it. We finally got to the managerial level after a half an hour in the store. For a guy goes, oh, it's actually in the back because you used PayPal. It didn't process the order until right now, and we didn't know what to do with it, so we took it off the shelf, put it in the back, waiting. You gotta be kidding me. So you mean for 45 minutes it was in the back and I told you to look in the back because it's probably in the back because it's not on the shelf? Yeah. Oh, okay. I left there and I was like, I wish I had a robot. I wish I had Sally or Sam roll their little robot legs up to me and said, hi, Charles, how can I help you? Oh, actually, you know what? Here's my order number. Here's my scanning code. Oh, it's not on the shelf? Oh, it's probably in the back because you, Sally or Sam, took it off the shelf and put it in the area. I don't have to talk to Ben or Robert or Steven or Christopher because those yo-yos are more interested about what's happening on the social webs than what's going on in their brain trying to connect ones and zeros about critically thinking, oh my gosh, if it's not in the back, is the inventory wrong? Is unbelievable. By the way, this middle chat is flying right now. Flying right now. Did someone just unlock power mode in their data set? What the heck did I just hear? I just heard something in the background. We got to ship a new version immediately. We got to name this All Orbit too. We got to name it All Orbit. All right, so that's the Pastebin code. What shipped? Within the chat, send out a Sonnet member to make sure that everything was done properly and that the one flag is ensuring that that user is not trying to exploit Botenson.com. Why is this a thing trying to put into his own exploit? Actually, no. I'm actually looking to make sure that during our chat interceptions, oh my gosh, terms of service, no. Bunch of noodles. Am I adding this in? What the heck is going on, dude? Why is that being added in? Is Handy not working? Am I just typing that in? Am I not doing that properly? Handy, all right. I'm not blaming it on Handy. I'm blaming it on me. I'll take full responsibility. All right. This guy's got to come back with something. Okay, so this is freehand. What I then want you to do is look up and add in the IDE. Whoops. You know what we're going to do? What I want you to do is look up within the IDE. Actually, I need a new chat. I can't do it from a different chat. You know what? You know what you're going to do? You know what you're going to do before I get into the news? Before I get into the news and I pop out, because I got to get some food before I pass out. Before I pass out, we got to bring this up to... We are going to rename this... Let's not go into the rename right now. What you're going to do is go into the research mode. You are an Opus orchestrator who's going in and sending out Sonnet workers to find out the actual presentation that we have created. I want this to be a complete solution for any way of giving presentations, giving any freehand writing, drawing, giving examples. There needs to be an extreme dive into all features of any single similar app, website, or inspiration that is like this. We are moving away from the presentation style where there's slides and everything else, and moving to more of a freehand where I can zoom in and zoom out. Apple has a default app called Freehand. I want you to send out a Sonnet member or members, Sonnet workers, to go and find out how we are going to bring our own app, this one that's in this chat, all the way up to a 95 out of 100. I need deep research on all of the features. It needs to be tested, reviewed. There needs to be an extreme amount of dialing in on how to make this a better user experience, user interface, including mouse over labels, customization of the left menu options, and also how to make the actual writing a better experience for the user. The orchestrator is Opus. All of the workers are Sonnet. The review is going to be Opus. The only multi-agents going out will be Sonnet. We need a comprehensive, extensive checklist and testing and reviewing and to-do list to bring this up to elite levels of freehand for our users. I don't know. I just blacked out. All right. Before I go and actually go into the oatmeal, here's the artifact. Here's the custom browser. All right. This is probably shareable. You know what you could do? Well, I don't even say it live, but based on what happened with the artifacts, you could probably send out an agent and scour the internet and everything that's been brought in. You don't think Google now has every single artifact based on that exploit? The current power is actually important for the IDE. Why it can't be driven. Okay. Further along, so this is essentially the native browser pane. The model layer is going to be Opus 5. That's fine. Gemini Flash is going to be high frequency perception ticks. The self-hosted Pixel native, purpose-built for GUI grounding, no retrofitted VLM, fits on a 16 gig GPU. Operator retired August 2025, no viable past 15 steps. Computer use preview. I don't know if I like this. Runtime attached don't spawn. All right, so it uses Chrome, local, Cloudflare browser base, steel.dev. differentiation. The differentiation, wow, it brought in, wow. Sorry, there's something on my finger. Yeah, remember Lovable? Ranked by evidence of real demand. Yeah, this needs to be brought up to 2026. There's a lot of 2025 numbers. That is the... Okay, so that is... Send out a Sonnet agent to make sure that everything was buttoned up, debugged on this chat. Review and test, and then only come back when you are completely done with the entire chat and all of the bugs that were discovered during this. Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. A lot of the actual research is from 2025. That is a long time ago. All of the research must be to the latest amount of documentation to July 2027 of 2026. Again, a lot of the artifact is from 2025. We need a model that is self-powered, self-automated, self-moving throughout a browser that we have created that can do anything that we task it to do automatically on its own, not taking screenshots but by actually maneuvering the mouse by itself like Comet Perplexity. We only need solutions. We need it to be safe, secure, fast. We also need to use any model that you deem is best, moving away from top tier models like Sol or Fable, but using fast worker models that have vision, speed, and intelligence. All right. Use Chromium. I will put that in there. Or just have a Sonnet agent look into potentially doing this as well. All right, send that out. We got to quit that. We got to bring this one chat up. All right. Z4, Z2, Wave 6 is out. 4 Sonnet fixers, okay. Standing answer, Wave 6's fixers are actively editing the render surfaces in the background. Z4's contract is a pixelate or a Pixis verified visual fix requiring the fixer to read in 390, okay. The gate says armed until the pass, waiting on 6+ gates R9, Opus round 4. Wow. Did we just create a multi-loop round or version or MVP? Does it say Sonic? Did we just do that? Did we just do that? It says Opus round 2 fires next. So this was, the way that they did it was 6 waves within 1 round. I like that term. I like that ideology. I'm going to steal that, actually. It's not like I thought of it. Opus thought of it. Instead of saying, obviously, I've been saying version. Let's do round 2 sounds too easy, though. I think version 4 is like, okay, 1 is the foundation, 2 is, foundation is the coding, number 2 is the front end. Number 3 is the wiring. Number 4 is adding in the database and polishing and testing and reviewing. And then number 6 is wiring it to Stripe. If it was an app, if it was a website, something like that. So I think what we should do, unless we say, I need 6 waves to create the first MVP. Then when the MVP is created, we go into version 2. I like that. Let's go right into the apps. Freehand. It looks like a face. Or something else. All right, let's go to clear. There needs to be a clear button up here. Yeah, there needs to be. Anyway, it's going to be. So this is going to be 6 waves to a MVP. And then when that passes a 95 plus, then it loops into, it goes like this, 1s and 0s. 6 waves equal the MVP. Then you loop it into version 2. Then version 3. So essentially, I'll dial that in. Version 2 is more like, oh crap. Version 2 is more like, version 3 is like polished. Testing, reviewing, different screen sizes, database, speed. Version 2 is back end, front end, wiring. But I want a version 4. Essentially, each of them has 6 waves. 6 waves. I like that. Because it might be too complex in the beginning, though. Because now you're thinking of 18 steps. 6 waves, you have an MVP, then version 2, version 3. Version 3 is the polish, testing, release. Ready for production. You can even say that. You could even just say version 4. This doesn't even need. Ready for production. Live. Public use. Charles, what are these weird things? Yeah, I know. I don't know. Ah, the whole thing is going. Can I just choose this? Nope. All right, well, that gets work done. I like that. Oh, you can't even grab? Hold on. If this selects, then you go into grab, then it well, there you go. Look at that, it all goes. Well, that's a bad user experience now, isn't it? What does a connector do? Connector doesn't even work. Yeah. You could add a nice handwriting like font in this freehanding. See how the... yeah. All of the chats need to be talking to each other. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is even handing it off to a blank context window. All right, so this was the original from the paste bin. Oh, look at that. Why is this a thing? Did not get exploited. Nothing in this account needs, okay. So everything within this paste bin was actually done. Look at the original URL and instructions. Come back with yes or no. Don't lie to me. Be honest. There you go. Continue and make sure that everything is passing the Opus reviewer agent. We need to speed this up to make sure that, I don't even want to say that, because then it's going to speed it up, then it's going to be crap, then it's going to push, then I'm not going to like it, then I'm going to have to prompt again. But that is the, this can even, you're right, these can even be chats. These can even be chats. Where, so the presentation is going to be renamed Freehand. Is that OS? Is that like legal? Is that legal? Freehand Apple app. I think it's called Freehand. Yeah. Oh, Freeform? Okay, perfect. Freeform. We're calling ours Freehand. Freehand. And it is, MVP is 6 waves. Then it hits a 95 plus. Then it goes into version V2, 95 plus. Then V3, 95 plus. And I don't know what happened, but there's definitely a breeze in here right now. Like AC just came out of nowhere. That is impossible. And then it's V4 is production ready. Production, live, public. Okay. Okay. And yes, Mark, they're all going to be talking to each other. They're all going to be talking to each other. Essentially, the best way to look at it is this area right now is freehand. Obviously, I called it presentation, but this is going to be freehand. I'm going to be able to pull this down. This is going to be the background of the IDE where you can essentially have any windows you want. You could be talking, you could have your workout, your to-do list, your calendar, your inbox. You can move it around, you could whatever. For me, when I'm vibe coding, on the left side, I'm going to have OBS pop out. So what is OBS pop out? OBS pop out is essentially right here where if you go to the OBS library, I'm going to have things like this on the upper right, upper hand corner where, Charles, what are you building? What do you like? How do I subscribe? How do I, ride a bicycle? I'm going to have how to ride a bike. I'm just kidding. But all of these are going to be in the style of whatever I want. And essentially right now, all of these apps are on a browser. I don't want them on a browser. They can live on a browser. They could be on mobile. They could be on tablet. But I want them to be pulled in dynamically onto the IDE, eventually going through the developers, and it's an actual app within the App Store. We're nowhere near that. But there's got to be I want a self-guiding, self-landing rocket with 3 legs and a booster, and we'll call it Falcon 9. And we're going to have a bunch of Merlin engines strapped to an even larger rocket that is thousands of feet tall, and we're going to have hundreds of these landing per day throughout the United States, and it's so loud it's got to be 5 to 10 miles offshore, and then you're going to be going throughout the entire world within 10 seconds because it's going to be faster than the Concorde. Hello, Elon Musk. Implement layers. That's actually a good idea. I know you said that. You've been asked handwriting like font. Yeah. The biggest thing is the App Store is going to be open for apps, skills. Then there's going to be custom things within the not within the App Store. It's going to be custom. You know what? I want to have APIs being brought in so I can order lunch, so I can see the sports scores, so I get brought in the weather. I'm not going to do that. Just like the guy who's making the iOS system is not doing the guy who brings in the apps. They're all kind of like all over the place that pyramids in. The thing is, I got to have a layer of security exploitation to review the apps consistently. In other words, before you even put in for a new version, obviously this is standard, Apple has to review the new version and make sure that it's good for their own code base, that they're not, adding in anything. And to be honest, they're very good at it. They're actually very good at it. Granted, I don't know if there's spyware, malware on my computer. There probably is. I have no idea. At this point, we're all living in a, Tom Cruise reality right now. Or you want to go with, what's his face, who doesn't really talk, but was it Neo? Okay, so now it wrote a spec. Plan complete. We have an updated artifact. This is what I like to see. An agent with hands. I got to be honest, I think one of the best things that they've added, and by they, Claude, is to dumb this down to people like me. I almost said stupid people like me. But to dumb this down to say, let me actually, before I forget it, let's put this up here. Let's go like that. And this is for the freehand. And we're going to take this and we're going to do this. We're going to move this to sites because that's the priority list. Okay, freehand app, layers. All right, let's go to the artifacts. Agentic. Nope, this is the old. Which one is it? Oh no, they just redid the website. Okay, good. A Comet style browser as a Foundry pane. Nope. Still using the old name. It's Orbit. Or it could be, what was the other one I was thinking about today? A Comet style autonomous browser. Okay, so now we're digging into it. MIT, by the way, MIT, that's crazy. MIT is intimately involved in AI. And I would love to know what they do with their endowment fund because I think they're the largest. I think MIT is the largest. Or it might be Harvard. It's one of the two, but they're up there. Tens of billions of dollars. They got to deploy that somewhere. They can't just keep on having that in Vanguard and just collecting, 5% interest rate. Deploy that. Use it for good. That's the best way to say it. Okay, so why the custom browser was down, that's fine. I could care less about why it was down. That's easy. Bring it back up. It crash looped. Fantastic. You haven't applied it. Whatever. The current browser actually is important for the IDE. Architecture was a hybrid. Cross origin, iframes are opaque. That's fine. The existing AI is read-only. The existing AI is read-only. Okay, that's weird. The reframe, you're further along than you think. Okay, is this the same one or did you update this? Because I don't want to, yeah, okay. You're further along the model layer. Okay, now you went into deep research. You're still in old models. Granted, you're still talking about Opus 4.8. Hollow 2 30B. You know what? I should have mentioned the number that sets expectations. The thing is, how is this going to happen? Because when Comet is downloaded, Comet browser from Perplexity is downloaded, it's downloaded locally using probably Perplexity. Perplexity's obviously remote. It's on their own servers, so they're tapping into their remote servers. The issue is that it is using so much RAM. It's massive. Okay, so it benchmarked it. I need to, okay, so now it's using DeepSeek because DeepSeek does not have vision. GLM has, I think, vision. Minstrel, Quen, I thought Quen does not have vision either. Self-hosted on your 36. No, I don't want that self-hosted at all. Runtime, way too many gigs. Way too many gigs. Wow. The differentiation, honestly, three competitors ship a real agentic browser. Several ship a pane, market it as more. Is anyone still using anti-gravity, Cursor, Lovable? Devin? I don't even know who Devin is. Never heard of those. Ranked, never heard of her. Ranked by evidence of real demand. You know what? I got to still 2025. Still 2025. Okay. I don't know if I like this. The two more serious browsers both deliberately did not fork. They did not fork. OpenAI's Atlas runs on Chromium out of process. Mojo IPC and exploiting calls it. Much of the engineers never built Chromium locally. Comet is an extension of Chrome. Is that true? No, it's not. It's a separate download. It's not an extension. I don't think it is. The one team that truly... Okay. Okay, so I'm going to push back with some intelligent brainstorming right now. The download for the IDE is going to be on my Mac Studio. When they download it, I want there to be a full package, a full IDE for the user. And the user is obviously not going to be SSHing into my Mac Studio. So when they download it, they are downloading it locally to their own laptop or computer. When they do that, I want everything to be, and by everything, I mean the models and the AI models. And when they do the agentic browsing automation, where the AI model is going to be going throughout our custom browser that is on the IDE, ideally, because I don't want to use up our RAM or slow down our machines because we're going to have hundreds of people using the IDE. I don't want to slow down our RAM, our system, our internet, or host anything locally when it comes to our AI models. I want you to think about and or brainstorm sending out Sonnet workers to discover the best way to do this within a remote environment or using VPS. So when they download the IDE and they call upon the browser to do agentic automation and clicking around any website, visualizing anything that was built, anything that's connected to the website or the internet, or they need to clone or build an app or a menu, that it's done automatically using the AI models that are not local, but are either brought in free or through their subscription or through our subscription that is tied into the IDE. We are looking for speed, intelligence, speed of clicking around, intelligence of what it's looking at, the ability to infer what it's looking at. So we need eyeballs, we need intelligence, and we need speed. And this cannot live locally on the Mac Studio. Just the download of the IDE lives locally on the Mac Studio. All right, so that's really happening in the background. All right, let's see if this stupid thing has finally landed before we go into a closed session. Okay, we need to send out the orchestrator to find out where we're at. Clearly, this has been going on much too long. Change the orchestrator from Fable to Opus 5.0. Change the reviewer from Fable to Opus 5.0. Okay. This is the prompt framework. Okay, so this is, it should have been done. Everything in that paste bin should have been done. I had it send it out. Token exposure. Okay, so this is the exploit. Exploit should have been done as well. That should have been done as well. Design multi-tier agents recommendation. Okay, we did that before. Let's have a clean agent over here. Let's close out. Thank you for your service. Let's close out this chat. We'll end it on the news because it's 1 o'clock and I got to hop out. Your boy's got to get some food in him. He's in a calorie deficit. Okay, so that also should have been done. Like, I wish there was a literal drop-down menu that says, I can't review 3 paragraphs of complication. I need a sonnet, grok, Kimmy K, Quen. I could care less. Send a boy out to find out what you're saying is confirmed on the code base. That should be a drop-down menu. Confirm. Use Sol. And at this point, because I'm so agnostic to models, I could care less. Okay, so this is after I said, what in the heck are you doing, bro? All right, where we're at, already shipped and live is, we already have 4.7. I already know. I already downloaded it and it still sucks. Ending the wrap-up plan, no waves. Link, then Opus review, visual pass, commit, ship tonight as laid out. I think it has the latest model. Yeah, it's got the latest model. But who's to say that B-Shot is all, I click on it, B-Shot pops up. But I want B-Shot to already be included in this. It's going to be a hefty build, but B-Shot should be in there, voice should be in there, memory should be in there, orchestration needs to be in there, the apps store should be in there. And it's not really heavy because we're essentially bringing in a lot of the information, like intervals.icu is my triathlon. The database is my inbox, my calendar, my to-do list, my checklist. And by the way, this little pencil up here is the freehand. Look how crap. See, I like this though. See how it straightens out the line? I like how it straightens out the line. Very clean. Very clean. And then it goes backwards, deletes everything. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. There you go. So I broke it already. I actually wanted that as well. Line smoothing. That's exactly what I wanted. But line smoothing. But there should be a, let's go into, let's take a screenshot and ask, let's do a refresh. See, this is too complicated. I don't like, see, the good news is that it didn't add additional rows. It was on the same row. It was multi-column. But it should be, what are we doing? What is the focus? And then you choose the orchestrator and then you generate the prompt. Obviously, we don't have a URL. Who's to say that Google, you go to google.com. Why isn't google.com, why isn't this the entire home screen of when you start up your computer? Add to a note. Did anyone email me? What do you think I should build next in iCharles.com? How's the front end of Botenston.com? This should route everything. You know, the good thing about my ignorance to not being a coding and technical background, or being very limited, I did HTML, being a 0.5 out of 10 on, is you come in with this complete ignorance to why not just have this plus signal, which is add in whatever you want. Add in your app. This should, instead of Google, you have Todd. You have whatever your AEO or your IDE, your ADE, whatever you want to call it. And then you have multiple Googles in different things instead of, and then you just say, bring up a Grok agent. I want you to do the top posts about Fable 5 today. Bring it up, you know, whatever you want to do. It will route it to anything they want. Today, we have a major build. We are doing a complete clone of Lovable.com for a client. We're going to hook it up to Anthropic, OpenAI, and Moonshot. The API keys are in the .env file that's right here. Don't stop until MVP version 1, version 2, version 3 are done, and we're ready for production, ready for live. That's the way that I look at it. Thinking outside the box. And that's why people would tune into you. Because if you're just building and then someone can literally download or someone can literally say, build me an exact, then there is no differentiation. There is no, why are you different? That's the best way to say it. When I walked into people who were selling their apartment, they asked, what are you different than that guy that literally walked out of? So agents, when they are going in and pitching their services to an owner to sell their apartment in or anywhere, well, at least in New York City, they all sit in the lobby, or at least sometimes they sit in the lobby. This guy went up, you're next. They come down, you go up, and you're essentially seeing your competition live. I've happened dozens of times. And I go, oh, okay, this guy is a better agent. He's got a team that works at a major company. I have to differentiate myself. What is your differentiation if you're creating anything? So that's essentially what I'm saying here is, why are you different than Perplexity, who already has an agentic browser that can literally talk to you on the right pane and give you an entire build and sequence for a spec doc on your website? I've done this before in the past when I actually had Perplexity. I say, I want you to do a complete pass of all of my menu options, sub-menu options, look at all the screenshots on light and dark mode on all, this is months ago. And it came out with a huge spec. I blew through my entire subscription, but it gave me a spec. And I'm like, instead of spending $20, why don't I spend a really good worker on and spend $1.50 or 75 cents or $1, but I actually built it. And the reason being is Perplexity is probably using Opus for the entire thing, or Sonnet for the entire thing back in the day. And that blew through all of Sonnet tokens, and then they have to put profit on top of that. So you're essentially harnessed around to 75%, all right. It almost seems like the exact same. Okay, now it's different. Now it's different. There's your Chromium. Local on their machine. So essentially the biggest thing is the download is going to be very large. The put into production is going to be very large. So now I'm actually thinking, do I update each of the apps? Kind of like you have the iOS. When you update the iOS, you're not updating all of the apps. You're just updating the iOS. So if I'm shipping a better version of the browser, why not just update the browser? And I essentially have in the apps area a toggle switch right here. If someone doesn't want it, they don't have freehand on their IDE. If they don't want books, they don't have it. It's up to them. If they don't want to use the sign-in document because they don't do e-sign, they don't have it. If they don't want B-Shot or Studio, if they're not doing studio sessions and recording, or they're not doing thumbnails, they don't need it. That's actually a good point. That's actually a very good point. You know, why not silo out each app and they are individually downloaded, downloaded if user wants, and only app is updated, or it's just updated in the background. It's like automatically updated. Like if I update the Studio app, this will be updated. And then maybe the workspace is one full app. This is one full app. Because if I go to iCharles, we're talking about links and scheduling and features and SEO and AO security. We have videos, content engine, moderation. Maybe this is one app. This is, your workspace is one app. You know, because this is not large. This is how browsers are actually sized. Yeah, but what if we have a lot of I think I'm going to enter into a brainstorming session. Maybe there's certain things like browser would have to come with the IDE, like it has to. But the other things don't have to. No one's going to be using the ride. But then you're also thinking about completely siloed off apps. And now you're working like a true app store that maybe when you upgrade the IDE, the app store or the app is not fully integrated. But then you're also going to be in a totally different environment. And you're just essentially, I don't know, it's not suggesting Chromium because it's quote unquote big. Router is going to be a gig, which is completely acceptable. It's not suggesting Chromium because it's quote unquote big, but because you can literally package it in the browser and it's not going to be a gig. Yeah, I think the browser is going to be part of it. The other ones, I don't know. The other ones, I don't know. Because today, let's see if anyone, just want to make sure. It's so weird interacting with so many other agents. So many other agents. I got to find out, or not find out, but today, B-Shot has to be involved. That has to be involved. This is probably later on. These are the websites. The browser has to be involved with the IDE. This is also with the IDE. The prompt page is going to be with the IDE. It's not going to be a prompt page. It's going to essentially morph into the bottom part of the IDE. And then that is going to be there. The thumbnails I definitely want to work on as well. I want to get that engine up and running. The triathlon, no. OBS I want to get up and running. The studio I'm working on right now. The apps for the browser I'm working on right now. Now I need to incorporate that into the... See, this is a perfect example is I have two chats. They're totally separate, but they need to talk to each other now. They need to talk to each other. Like this browser chat needs to talk to this guy over here that is essentially just spinning up tokens. Okay, so this is the prompt. Let's check out the prompt. And then your boy's gonna pop out. He's got a lot of things on Claude apps. The prompt. So I think a lot of these prompts will be integrated automatically. Like this is going to be integrated into a drop-down menu where it makes it so much easier for the user to say, like, initial, then it goes to the first part. Front end, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a follow-up loop. These, yeah. Shades is in. Yeah, you know what? Right now we're working heavy in the IDE and upgrading it and updating it. And I want you to come to the conclusion based on a Opus orchestrator on the best way to integrate this into the IDE. This needs to be done today, and you have enough context in this window that you are going to be doing this automatically, perfectly, without any mistakes. On the left chat, which is actually running in the background, there is a lot of code that is going to be and is being created right now. I know you can see the artifact that you created. It is going to be intimately tied as a agentic automatic browsing solution that is tied into our IDE automatically. And you are going to send out Sonnet agents, Sonnet researchers, Sonnet workers to find out the best way that we are going to wire in all of the above into the IDE. In one word, do you know exactly what I want? Yes or no? You as the orchestrator, as Opus, must be the only answer and orchestrator. All right. I do want to trust, before we go, let's do this. I don't think it's going to work. But let's go into the thumbnail. Let's go into Studio, Thumbnail. Let's drag and drop a face. Let's get this face. Let's bring this down here. All right, so let's bring this over here. Let's get rid of the iCharles icon. Let's go over here, drag and drop. Tell me it's gonna upload. Uploaded. Look at that. And it cleared everything out. I am vibe coding day number 62 and sober. What is today? I don't even know. Oh, 61 days sober. Okay. I am This weekend was hard. Not gonna lie. I was this close to having a martini. I was so close to having a martini. You have no idea. I was with my brother, who's awesome, my sister, who's awesome, my mom, who's awesome, and we were at my brother's, and I was so close to having a martini because that's what we do. My brother and I, we hit martinis. And I had Athletic Brewery or whatever. It was so hard. I was also really tired because of my workout, not gonna lie, and I've had terrible sleep. Terrible sleep. Like today, I literally woke up, I had no memory, I had no idea where I was, and I had no idea what day it was, and I had no idea what I needed to do. No joke. No joke. I literally woke up, I had no idea where I was, I had no idea what I needed to do. I thought it was a Saturday, and I had nothing to do. I snoozed the alarm, and then my brain, about 5 to 6 minutes later, was like, no, you're in a bed, you just slept, you need to wake up and get onto a train, it's 5 o'clock, to go swim in a pool for 2,000 yards, and you got to do it under a 2:20 pace because you're training for an Ironman. I was so sore. Man, I wanted to pull out the world's smallest violin. I had every excuse. It's tired, or you're tired, it's cold out, don't worry about it, you had a great weekend. Dude, it was the craziest feeling. I've never had that in my life. Never had that in my life. Jules, you need more sleep. Your body's telling you, shut up. Shut up. You got to show up every day. Got to show up every day. Yeah. Well, there's a great book by Napoleon Hill about that. I'm a little skeptical now that I've listened and read about the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Fords, the people that he went to. I'm a little skeptical, to be honest, about, did I say Napoleon Hill? Is it Napoleon Hill? I was thinking of the Henry Hill, who is in Goodfellas. I read that book. That was insane. Absolute maniac. I got a story. Well, I won't talk about it. The thumbnail is going to be about day 61 as a vibe coder in New York City, kicking butt and taking names, being sober for 42 days, being the #1 vibe coder in the entire planet. People have no idea that they are standing in front of royalty. Vibe coding royalty. So much so that I wrote upside down all of my notes on my pad. No, actually, I'm going to take all that away. People have no idea they're standing in front of, yeah, we're going to say that. Here is the video title. Vibe coding royalty. Yeah, we're going to write that in. Here's the title of the video. I have, out of 10, I have the actual faith less than a mustard seed, if you even know what that reference is. Less than a mustard seed. I don't think this would even move a pedal, let alone a pebble. Yeah, how much are buoys? If you're doing swim buoys, swim safety, shut up. Swim safety buoy. Yeah, send that out to my buddy. $30. Geez, you got to include a blonde in there? The guy said you don't even feel it. Oh, it's around your waist? That's not bad. It's not bad. Oh, you got to blow it up each time? For triathletes and kayaking, snorkelers and adjustable waist. That's easy. I could do that. I could do that. Not like I'm swimming at Michael Phelps clips, you know. All right. These guys are slowing down on purpose. Is it going to rain in New York City? Because I have no umbrella. I have no umbrella. I saw that it was just literally supposed to rain every single day. All right, so this is the prompts. I am going to do this as the final one and then pop out. I'm actually going to go over the news real quick before I pop out. Oh, there you go. Absolute trash. You know what? Because it's probably going to not save it, I'm going to screenshot it. And I'm going to drag it right here. And I'm going to delete the bottom screenshot. And I'm going to make sure that one's there. We are going to use Opus. We are going to do this. We're going to add that in. Those are terrible screenshots. Clearly did not use, like, is that what that guy looks like a cross between the guy that was in, what's that remake of the Tom Cruise Thrasher or something? I don't know, it's two names, where he goes in and it was on Amazon Prime. The first season was amazing. And then obviously he signed away everything and then it became trash. That first season was amazing though. I look like Nick Fuentes meets that guy from, oh my gosh, Thor? No. What is that? What was that Amazon Prime remake that Tom Cruise was in? And he's a tall guy. It's a multi-fictional character series. His name is, oh my gosh. Reacher. There you go. Dude, look at the size of this guy. You think this is natural? Where the heck is this photo? That is Lee Child. I was about to say, that is not Reacher. Reacher was a jacked. Look at this guy. Hide your women and children from that or hide it from your girlfriends. Jeez. Do I not look like Reacher meets Nick Fuentes? Oh my gosh. I don't know. That guy looks a little corn doggy. Looks like a frat bro. Frat bro. That looks like Reacher. That's a cool CIA operative or a villain from 007. I just need to prompt this. I need to prompt this. Because it should be using image gen 2. It should be using image gen 2. Wow. All right, we're going to prompt this and then we're going to head out. As you can see from the URL and from the screenshot, the actual image generation does not look like me at all, who I've uploaded, and the entire background was taken out so it's transparent except for me. What needs to happen is a beautiful Fable orchestration and prompt that is original, it is catchy, it is click-through rate worthy, it is simplistic, it is up to the standards of the size of YouTube thumbnails. So in other words, that's under 2 megabytes and the ratio of 16.9. Then when the Fable orchestrator has a dialed-in prompt that includes some context that I put in, along with the image or images that I drag and drop, it sends it to ChatGPT Image Gen 2 to produce 5 thumbnails, the ones that you provided look nothing like me, are terrible, awful prompt, clearly, and also needs to stay on the page when I refresh. Let's send that out. All right, boys and girls. I'm heading out. Actually, I'm going to go over the news real quick because I just got to. Super quick. Waymo racking up 80 parking tickets worth $9,000 since 2024. You have Bitcoin because the US-Iran. By the way, this is a stumbling block for both parties. By the way, doesn't matter what party you're on. Nobody's in favor of this. That is going to be detrimental to anybody that is still voting for this or on board with it. I think this is just a PR stunt to squash fears about AI, data centers, resources, energy, water, things like that. Jensen is on fire. They have a $250 billion, I think, allegedly, that's coming on next year, data center that's coming on next year. I think there has been released from Moonshot, or was it Quen? Or was it was one of the Chinese models. I'm trying to think of it. Who was it? That came out and there's leaked that they want to not use NVIDIA anymore. They are essentially beholden to NVIDIA chips and servers. So all power to NVIDIA and Jensen, as much as you want to say, because if that boy did not create such an amazing plug-and-play way to get data centers up and running between the chips, literally from the software to the hardware, from every... You look at his last keynote that was, as he said, completely ad-libbed in his 2 hours. He can physically pick up each of the racks and put it in, and they all are talking to each other. That is insane for any company to be doing. So, do you think NVIDIA is going to be above xAI? Yes. Do I think NVIDIA is going to be above OpenAI? Yes. Especially if OpenAI is getting a new round of funding from SoftBank. Not good. Not good. As Alex from Moonshot recently said, where are you spending your money? How have you had hundreds? This isn't hundreds of billions of dollars of stock options, of revenue, and you had to spend it. This is literally checks written for you. Where's your money going? You have an open model that's literally coming up to frontier closed models, Kimi K3s. They've nowhere near the financing. Very weird. Very weird. Continuing on. This is always going to be a thing. Data sensitivity, privacy, glasses. It's going to be your phone listening to you, your earbuds, wearables, which I have. Wearables. So this is always going to be, it's going to be just a very interesting next decade between what AI, robotics, software, data centers, people are creating, where we're taking healthcare, startups. It's going to be very interesting. What people are, this is the wearables. This is very interesting, is that you have, I think, 20, 25 companies that already have talked about, they're all in favor of open models. He's talking about America's edge is trust. I 100% agree. People do not trust China, do not trust what they're going to be doing with us. There's been multiple allegations and lawsuits through Europe, the United States, whether it was Google or Anthropic suing, or even the government, the United States government suing Chinese models, whether it's allegedly, whether they have proof or they don't have proof, as they said, do you trust Meta? They don't have the best PR. Do you trust Palantir? Not the best PR. Do you trust NVIDIA? Better PR. So it'll be interesting. And obviously, having Microsoft CEO come out and say this in an interview that was filmed yesterday or aired yesterday, it's very interesting. You got the big dogs in America. I think they're scared. My opinion, allegedly. This has to be one of the dumbest headlines. I don't know if this was an intentional or a false leak, but if they are planning on unveiling a smart glass without cameras, speechless is not even a good enough word. You literally just put together one of the best hardware solutions that did not take off, and you're sunsetting it and you're not going to be using it, also known as Apple's Vision Pro. It was too heavy. No one adopted it. It was too expensive. No one used it. Cool. All right. When you do that, you need to take away the hardware and everything from that, because you're essentially projecting in front of the user an entire screen that is augmented reality that they can now operate within that environment. You don't ship a camera without glasses. You question Tim Cook's leadership the last 2 years, because it takes at least 2 to 2.5 years to even put out a prototype that anyone would even do. Where are you going to get the raw materials? How is it going to be produced? How is it going to be manufactured? How is it going to be talking to what operating system? It's just so complex. And Meta is miles ahead. When did version 1 of Meta come out? 2023, 2024? They came out with number 2 this year. They're 3 years ahead. I hope they bring up Meta in here. And why would you go to the EU? The EU, their regulatory body is trash. Their regulatory body is trash. You're going to go to the EU, who has a clear disdain for Meta and American software and innovation, and it's crazy. Why not? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Sell in America. Do what Meta's doing. Why would you go overseas? This is a pretty crazy quote, because obviously everyone can discuss what's AGI, singularity. Obviously, that's a big stake. Obviously, I've not listened to the whole podcast. I don't know what the context is. I don't want to say that he said this, but obviously, if he's saying that we are now like, I don't like that word, in the singularity, this is the moment. I don't know if he's talking about what Ray Kurzweil's been talking about. I don't know if he's talking about AGI that Alex from Moonshots has been talking about that happened in 2020, recursive self-improvement, where you write, what is the actual definition? People said there's up to a dozen definitions. Okay, there's a dozen definitions of what AGI is. Okay, I always thought singularity was essentially putting human longevity on the same path as not aging. Okay, maybe there's different singularities. You have a longevity singularity that, you could put the guy who wrote excellent book that I read that I cannot think of. I could hear him right now. Why We Sleep. I forgot his name. Why We Sleep. What was his name? No, not Matthew Walker. This guy, no, it wasn't Matthew Walker. It was, oh my gosh. What was his name? Similar books. He also came out with, Oh my gosh, I could hear his voice. It wasn't Matthew Walker. It was something, it starts with a P. Starts with his P, his last name. Very smart guy. Name starts with a P. Let's go to longevity. Who is the longevity guy? Well, they're going to say Brian Johnson. It's not Brian Johnson. It is Dr. He's a doctor. No, Peter Attia. What happened with him, by the way? I heard he went through I won't say anything. It's Dr. Oh my gosh. Oh no, it's called book is called Longevity. Book is called Longevity. No, this isn't it. Oh my gosh, this is gonna bother me. No. And it talked about, they keep on bringing up Peter. Oh yeah, he was involved in the, I forgot about that. Not good. Lifespan. Oh, David Sinclair. Here it is. David Sinclair. So David Sinclair, he's the actual longevity expert. Once you meet a point where your longevity reaches your, and he's all about fasting, which is very funny because they have a thing known as, in older women, we've noticed that the best way to do this is called time-restricted eating. Time-restricted eating means fasting. That's been around for thousands of years. We don't need to have a pilot trial. Why? Because that's free. I do that right now. I had a protein shake earlier. I haven't eaten since. I'm going to have something, and then I'm probably not going to have dinner. I need to be because I am going through way too much training right now. This is very interesting. Chinese tech firms refuse to meet U.S. congressional advisors. Very interesting. We're too competitive. This is very interesting as well. Disney World hits the quietest July in years amid recession fears. Well, we have no definition of recession because that definition has been ripped away from us. That was 2 consecutive quarters with negative GDP. What is GDP? Obviously, people can discuss what's the best way to have a marker for a country. They said gross domestic product. We can have that debate whether that's the best way or not. Well, we can't even say recession or not because we don't even have a definition of recession. Here's another one, which is crazy. Love to know all of the lenders, all the 21 new lenders on the $40 billion OpenAI loan. That's also insane. And then obviously, China limits OpenAI. Very interesting. That is it for us today, boys. That was a long one. We're pushing over 3 hours. Over 3 hours. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be building a lot more. I got to review all this. I got to move on to another chat to make sure all of this is pushed live. And I got to actually go and make some money so I can continuously do this and actually put out a product that people want to spend money on, instead of just vibe coding by myself in an area known as build whatever you want. Finally, this chat is wrapping up. Never going to use Fable again. Opus only. That's it. Done with Fable. Takes way too long. And I don't even see why I'm using Fable at all. But All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Just got a phone call, got to retire, and I will be back tomorrow. I don't know at the time, but it's going to be after a long, hard run session.